Let's say we wanted to get a little bit more fancy with his materials and say do a gradient. So for example, the Ryzen logo itself goes from kind of a dark red to a light orange. So in order to do that, probably the easiest way to do that would be to add a gradient color to this material. So how do you do that? I'm going to double click this object, and that's going to go to the material that's assigned to that object. And we see we have hard shiny plastic red. You know what? Did we change this? I thought we changed that. Say logo red. Or you know what? Even better, just logo. So now this is named logo, and we can go in here to diffuse. If you want to change the color, you can go through here. If you want to add a texture to this color, you can click this, and you can bring in any sort of JPEG or GIF or TIFF or anything you want to apply color to your object. However, I'm going to go into the textures tab of this material, and you're going to see we have a diffuse with no texture loaded. If you want to load a texture into this diffuse, just right click, and you can choose textures and choose a texture map, which is what that other button did. But what I'm going to do is go all the way down here to color gradient. So immediately you can see exactly what it's doing. It's going from blue to red. It seems like it's kind of flipped here, but we can change the location in a bit. But we want to go from red to orange. I'm going to take this one here, click it, go down to an orange, let's make it a nice bright orange, hit OK, and there we go. Now it's on the wrong side. It needs to go from red down here to orange up here. So let's go ahead and fix that. One thing you can do is you can change possibly the angle of the texture, but instead of doing that, just to make it a little bit easier on my brain, I'm going to go up here to this move texture, and that's going to bring up a little gizmo here that I can now move. If I want to, I can just move it up or down along the gradient. Of course, it's going left to right, so it's just not making any changes here, but we can also move this, or rotating, sorry. We can move it left to right this way, but if we want to leave it centered, and we just want to rotate it, just click this rotate button here, and we'll just rotate it around so that the red is in the lower left and the orange is in the upper right. Go ahead and click this little checkbox here, and now let's fine tune how much red and how much orange we have. In the logo itself, it seems like a little bit of orange and a lot of red. So how I can change this, if I click on here, you can see we have a fall off value here. So we can go from a lot of red to a lot of orange. If you want to fine tune that even more, what you can do is click this little add button here. That's going to give you another color. And if you move this one around, it just kind of, it took the middle point and whatever RGB value was there, it added it to it. If we want to, we can click this color box here, click this little sampler color picker here, and if you want to sample any color in your scene, you can just click it. I want to sample this red right here. So now we have two values of the same red. So now we're maintaining that red even further. Now this red isn't exactly right, so what I'm going to do is click this red here, and it's not a really bright red, it's kind of a desaturated, kind of darker red. So I'm going to darken that up just a little bit, maybe even desaturate it just a tad, maybe not that much. And then hit OK, and then I'm going to click this one here, and again go into the color sample picker, and we'll just go ahead and sample that color. So now those are both the same. So going from a darker red to a brighter orange. And we'll go ahead and move this back just a tad. We can even do that fall off here. And again, we're just kind of fine tuning how those two play together. Now just for my personal preferences, I am going to saturate these just a tad bit more. And there we go. We got red to orange on our logo there. Now, if you want to change this material, like say from a plastic to something else, all you got to do is go up here to plastic. Now I would be careful if you go from like a plastic to a liquid, you're gonna lose your diffuse here. But if you go from a plastic to a paint, it'll still maintain our color gradient. We'll just have paint properties that we can play with here. But I'll go ahead and change this back to a plastic. Let's hold down Control and rotate our environment around. In fact, let's go ahead and change our environment. I'm going to go back to our environment here. And that's what I love about Keyshot, is it's so fast and easily updated here. So if we go here to Studio, you can kind of class it up a little bit with like maybe 3 panels here. Hold down Control and rotate this around and get some really nice, sharp, crispy, streamlined reflections going on in your logo.